Let's get started then. Welcome everyone. RapidAuthor 2506 has been released for a bit, and now it's time for our new webinar. Today's session will give you an overview of new functionality introduced with the latest version of RapidAuthor. And as always, if you have any questions, we have reserved some time at the end of the webinar. And if you need any further information or want to discuss a deeper look into specific functionality, please contact us afterwards. We are there for you. And first, we will look at features related to preparing your data and tools. After that, we will move on to authoring itself, split into features for S1000D, for DITA, and for general authoring. And at the end, we will also have a look at a couple of 2D related features and publication improvements. We will start with preparation, specifically with data import. Now, some of you have been working with extremely large parts and also with large models. Especially huge parts can cause issues while importing, as optimization requires a lot of memory. In this release, you can use a new option for your import profile in Rapid Configuration. It's based on a new data optimization algorithm. We call it merge after simplification. It was developed for such particular cases. And we highly recommend to check the help topics for precautions and possible side effects so you know what will be happening. Related, disabling the reading of BREPs allows for improving your import performance as well. Also, when we analyzed some customer CAD data, we found that they contained damaged BREPs in many cases. So importing tessellated geometry instead of NURBS, in this case BREPs, is a recommended workaround here. We have added the option to disable reading BREPs to the import profile settings. And as in most releases, we follow industry trends regarding CAD data file formats, and we have added support for additional formats with Rapid Data Converter in this release. You can see a selection here, and for a complete list for supported formats, you can check out our full release notes as always. And finally, here are a couple of additional features. We have improved the performance of BREP import. You now have the ability to update metadata specified in the import profile without using the update wizard. You can disable the addition of numeric indices to objects with duplicate names. We have added automatic cleanup of temporary files. And in Rapid Developer, you have a new part selection in the 3D view window of Rapid Configuration. Now let's have a look at DITA Authoring functionality. We continue to work on expanding customization capabilities for the look and feel of your PDF publications. These customizations can be done via the rules XML file that we introduced in the previous release of RapidAuthor. New improvements in this release allow you to use different styling for different chapters. For example, you could use a landscape orientation for one chapter and a portrait orientation for the other. Or you could use a two-column text layout for one chapter and a three-column text layout for the others. In this screenshot, you can see an example of a two-column page. And you can also define individual parameters for even and odd pages, for example, with different headers and footers or different side margins. As another example, illustration size and alignment can now also be quickly defined via PDF rules. These PDF rules can be defined through project metadata or a publication option to keep the specification component and default rules file unchanged. Rules defined in the project metadata are applicable to the current project and have the highest priority. Here in this example, we have defined 2 columns. Rules defined in the publication options are applicable to all projects of the current DITA specification. These have a lower priority. In this picture, we have defined 1 column in the publication options. So in our example, the project displayed here will be published as a 2-column PDF document, as the project metadata has priority. Another useful new feature, project metadata can be copied into DITA topic and used in PDF rules to create advanced customization rules. These were the main features for DITA authoring. Now let's also have a look at S1000D. First, creating and editing the forms containing references to a data module now takes less time than before, thanks to a new clear button to empty all fields in the form. A simple but quite useful and often requested small feature. Existing data modules containing ISO character entities, such as Greek, Cyrillic, or math characters, can now be attached to RapidAuthor projects. Previously, such data modules were not supported. Another frequently performed action is now also much quicker: the creation of unique identifiers for data module elements. This can now be done with a simple mouse click via the new command assign tag ID. And now let's have a look at general authoring improvements. Projects can now be searched by name in the Open Project dialog, so you don't have to waste your time scrolling through an especially long project list. And other improvements for general authoring include the export of static geometry to GLTF and Rapid Manual, in addition to Vermo and X3D. This is mainly used for direct import into different viewer applications and augmented reality apps. Attributes are now displayed in schema or DTD order, ensuring consistency. And projects are now protected from simultaneous editing in multiple instances of the authoring tools. This prevents data loss when multiple users work on the same project in a shared network setting. After this overview for general authoring changes, let's have a specific look at what's new for 2D. The composite illustration functionality has been redesigned in this release and now offers greatly enhanced usability and new features. First, we have created a new inline composite image window you can see here. You can change its size and position for your convenience. This is where you can define parameters of your composite image and create templates for future use. Let's add 3 different views to our composite image. Here you can enable or disable the generation of callouts directly. You can also select and edit individual components directly within a view, the callout positions, for instance. And you can easily bring the views to the same scale. You just select them, and then you can specify the desired scale. "2D views can also be easily updated when the 3D geometry changes. Let's temporarily remove the drill and update the 2D view accordingly. Each view you have created also keeps the information about the used viewpoint, so it can be restored in 3D. We also keep all information about scale, callouts, backgrounds, etc. In addition to generating these views, you can also import ready-made images here. Please note that the composite image window has its own undo, redo, and save buttons. And for further editing, you can also launch an external editor, in this case 2D Editor Pro. All manipulations here also apply to associated objects such as callouts or explosion lines. When we close the 2D editor after editing the illustration, the update functionality will still be available. So we can easily return the drill we had previously removed to the 3D and to the 2D views. These were just a couple of examples. Overall, we hope this new approach for the creation of composite illustrations allows you to combine, edit, and update your images much easier than before. Please give it a try and let us know what you think. This new release also allows you to reduce the number of points in polylines for easier authoring and for reducing file size as a result. Let's see how this works. First, we will select a polyline that we want to optimize. As you can see, the lines have quite a few points in this illustration. And here we can define the appropriate tolerance using a slider. The number of points that will be removed are displayed during this process. Now you can also easily fit the picture borders to the bounding box of the visible graphics, just like that. This functionality was created at a client request for 2D illustrations, which originated from ISODraw. The Raster editor now contains a multi-line text editor as well. And we have included an option to adjust the brightness and the contrast of images. Of course, we have more 2D authoring improvements for you. Here are a couple of further examples. If you generate a 2D illustration in orthographic projection, the original 3D model coordinates are now preserved. This makes it easier to combine multiple fragments into one composite illustration. This feature will replace the fixed scale mode introduced in the previous version. The generate callouts mode is now retained when switching IPC pages, and we now have support for no pen line when importing files from ISODraw. Let's also have a look at publication features now. This new release introduces a new method of creating PDF publications. Let's demonstrate with a simple example. Our sample project contains 3 pages with 2D illustrations. Previously, all illustrations from the RapidAuthor project were included in the PDF document. In the Edit 2D Images dialog, you can now choose which illustrations to include with a simple checkbox. In this case, we had all 3 illustrations selected, so they will all be displayed in the PDF. Now let's add a composite illustration. This illustration will appear only in the PDF, but not in the interactive HTML publication. And in this dialog, you can define the order of illustrations and remove unnecessary ones from your PDF. As we had deselected all others, our PDF will now only contain 1 illustration. This functionality is applicable to Rapid Catalog, Rapid Illustrator, and the generic procedure specification in Rapid Manual. Next, we have introduced a new option for DPL tables in your PDF publications. Let's first have a look at how an IPC catalog in the PDF publication looked like before, without the new option per illustration DPL table. Here, a single cumulative table was located at the very end of the PDF document. When the document contained a lot of illustrations, the user had to scroll back and forth many times between illustration and DPL table. Now let's choose Yes for the new publishing option, per illustration DPL table. And publish it. As you can see, each illustration is now followed by the corresponding subset of the full DPL table. Please note that we have also changed the illustration size from full page to half page before applying this new option. So both the illustration and most of the DPL table are located on the same page. If you don't reduce the illustration size, a large part of the DPL table will probably be located on the next page. This new feature is available to generic IPC in Rapid Catalog. The release 2506 also allows for selecting various rendering modes for background objects to improve the user experience. Let's set some objects as backgrounds. A new option, Background Object Rendering Mode, is available as a publishing option and as a publication setting as well. We will have a look at that in a second. Here you can see the publication settings. The third option is likely the best choice here when excessive detail is not needed. This functionality is available in Rapid Catalog and in Rapid Illustrator. We have also improved the rotation and zoom algorithms for smoother navigation when using the mouse wheel in 3D publications. The new options Set Rotation Center to Selected Objects and Zoom to Rotation Center are available both in the publishing options of the authoring tools and in the settings of the resulting publication. By default, mouse wheel zoom uses the cursor position as the zoom center. This behavior can be switched to the rotation center via zoom to rotation center. On the next slide, we will display one of these options in a bit more detail. First, we will show you how the rotation worked before in this example, so without that new option. Not ideal. Now, when we turn on the new option and we select the same part, we can easily see the difference. Rotation does not cause jumps any longer, and the model is always rotated around the selected part. And that's already it for a quick overview of new functionality in our release 2506. As always, this is a selection of features, and we have many more small changes and improvements for you. For the full list, please refer to our release notes. But now let's have a look at your questions. We have basically the full team ready to respond to your questions. And as mentioned at the start, should we not get to every detail, we can do a follow-up session afterwards. Please feel free to contact us. We'll always have a small delay here in the Q&A module of Teams. Let me move that window over here, then you can see the questions as they pop up. I hope you can hear me again. Teams, I was about to, maybe this is related. I was about to say I have a couple of improvement ideas for the Microsoft team working on Teams. This is where my audio disconnected. I hope there's no direct relation. Let me go through your questions here. Can I use different illustration for HTML and PDF publications? I will let the team respond to that. Thank you, Michael. I hope my Q&A panel properly updates after this Teams hiccup. Fantastic. See, you only have to complain. Very good. So you can see the response from the team. Illustrations for PDF can be explicitly selected. You might remember that list of illustrations in the dialog where you select the different illustrations for your publication. There's a checkbox next to it. Oh, there's more. I will just read the answer. They may not be attached to any IPC page in the project and will not appear in the HTML publication. So you can create a composite illustration with multiple views and use it for the PDF publication. Michael also said you don't even need to attach 2D illustrations for IPC pages if your HTML publication is 3D only. But you can still use the IPC pages to generate and update views of the composite illustration. If there's any additional questions you might have for your specific use case, please do let us know afterwards. But there is a lot of flexibility now when it comes to illustrations in your PDF publications. team is probably typing already. Philip. In the rules for custom PDF, are you able to set an image from the project to be the cover page? For example, the customer wants the machine for that project on the cover. If you could cover that question. I take that one first then, as we have already comments. Is there an option to remove BREP NURBS from 3D CAD models for the RapidAuthor for Teamcenter solution? Yes. So it is possible to disable importing of BREPs in the import profile. So we import the tessellated representation. Let's check. If you're asking about removing BREP from an already imported project, yeah, well, good point. Then you will have to change the import profile, use the update algorithm to read the data again with the new settings. That kind of makes sense. If you want to change that afterwards, you need to update the project. In this case, 3D geometry will be replaced in those parts which have changes in metadata. But the easy summary for the main question here, Cam, is yes, that type of functionality is identical. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned that in that Teams Q&A add-on, I'm not entirely sure if you can write comments to your questions. If anything is unclear and you cannot edit your question or add to it, just post another one. That's not a problem. As you can see, while I'm scrolling back and forth, I don't quite trust the way this is updated in the Teams view. So, okay. Here, I read that earlier. In the rules for custom PDF, are you able to set an image as cover page? That it is a bit difficult that it keeps jumping around. Simple answer is not conclusive. Maybe you can write a clarifying comment so we are certain if that is a yes or no. The first reply, only an image file in the rules folder can be used on the cover page. We may consider maybe the team can discuss this so we have an easy answer for you, Philip. Then I think the scrolling around was an update. We had that one already. Yeah, not quite sure why it kept jumping around earlier. I think we had that. that as well. Still typing. Regarding this newest question about very large projects, many thousands of parts, as you might have noticed in the last couple of webinars and releases, this is one of the focus areas of research and new functionality at the moment. Let's see if the team dares answering more directly than I do, but it heavily depends on a lot of factors, not only the file size, the number of parts, the complexity of the individual parts, etc. So I'm very careful in giving a yes as an answer, but the intention of that feature is to help with part of this workflow. In this case, as you can see, merge after simplification is designed for very large individual parts, so not necessarily a lot of very small parts. When a project contains 5 parts and still takes very long to import, the new algorithm divides each part into fragments of a smaller size, which in some, probably most cases, can be processed faster. If parts are already small, this will not provide any improvement, and theoretically could even increase the number of fragments, which will further slow down the import. This is likely not an issue in your case, but we would have to look at it specifically. It is still possible that it would help. Of course, that's the intention, but it's not exactly the specific use case this functionality is focused on. But as I said, I mean, maybe I'm being overly careful, but data is very different from customer project to customer project. So it's not very honest to provide very simple answers. Very happy to look at sample data, though, if we don't already have any, and we can discuss further afterwards. Is there a language toggle option in the latest version 25.06, like English to French and so on? No. UI language is selected during installation, but you can choose the language for the projects you are working on. In general, translations, we need to separate UI language, the language of the tools and menus, from anything related to the content, free with the content, obviously. We don't do auto-translation of your textual content within RapidAuthor. That's the job of content management, not of the authoring tool. But the UI interface is, the language of the UI is chosen during installation. To be able to see a composite image in the HTML output for a page, does it need to be saved locally and brought into that page's image file, or can it be assigned in RapidCatalog? Composite images were designed primarily for PDF. For HTML, you can have multiple 2D images matching the 3D scene, but you can export the composite image and attach it to an IPC page. In the future, we may allow doing that right in RapidCatalog, which is probably your second option in your question. Let us know if you have follow-up questions about that. We're trying to make this as flexible as possible, but feedback from our customers is what will drive the direction in which we take these features and improvements. Can I use my own templates for composite illustrations? Yes. The path to where you can place templates is specified in the documentation, and you can see that link. But the simple answer is yep. I think we had that, yes. In which case do you recommend to enable or disable numeric indices? Yeah. I'll also just read that for you. Adding numeric indices to parts during import may be useful for rapid manual and rapid learning to provide direct correspondence between parts in the item tree and the procedure editor. For rapid catalog, this is not as useful, so now you can disable this option, and the names in the item tree will correspond to names in cat. Let us know if that makes sense, but this is an optimization between the different what you're focused on in the different tools. Not every functionality might make sense in all the tools. I didn't read that one yet, I believe. In the HTML published file, is there any possibility to do a section view? Like we have the transparency? Yes, that is possible. To enable that, you need to set the publishing option 3D section plane to yes, and the corresponding button will appear in the publication UI. This is also something we have, I don't know if we have enabled it in all of the projects on our demo page, but if you go to demo.cortona3d.com and just select one of our standard sample publications, you will see that option in the publication, so in our viewer. Does pixel optimization affect the file size of the illustration? Yep, indeed. It can greatly reduce the file size. Just checking if I missed anything. Yeah, by the way, as maybe it's clear to you, Philip, this is not exactly the same answer. If we don't have time to follow up on that, we can discuss afterwards how that might be possible and how exactly we can support that for you. Can we now switch off all 2D views and let only DPL table be published alone in 2D pubs? Yes, that is possible. You just uncheck all 2D illustrations in the Edit 2D Images dialog. So that dialog I was referring to is a list of illustrations that are to be included in the PDF publication. And if you deselect all of them, what you will get as a result is the DPL table. I think apart from potential follow-ups, we don't have open questions without an answer anymore. Yes, very good. Using 3D PDF file for viewing animations. How good will it be? I let the team write a comment there as well. A very high-level note from my side, 3D PDF, the actual 3D PDF is not a very good file format for various reasons. It's a bit clunky. We had a lot of discussion. Let me try and not, obsolete. I was trying to avoid that word. 3D PDF is obsolete. It's not well supported anymore. And the functionality will be discarded in the future. If you discuss this, Mikhail, and you plan to do that in the next release, our summary right now is it's for now still supported. For a while now, when we discussed this with our customers, we didn't recommend it. And after talking to the vast majority of our customers, it's not really in use anymore. So we will stop supporting 3D PDF. There's not a lot of loss there because, as mentioned, very clunky formats to work with. Very good. I think we set the call to, we have a couple of minutes. And as mentioned before, if another question pops up right after you hung up, I know that feeling. Or if we didn't get to the details of your questions, contact us afterwards, and we are happy to have a follow-up discussion where we can, go into a bit more detail than we have time for today. Apart from that, if there's anything else, let us know. I don't think we have unanswered questions, at least. Very good. Are there any open questions that are still delayed that the team can already see?
No open questions.
Very good. No. Then we are almost perfectly on time. I can give you back another 1 minute, but we hope you have enough time before your next call with ending the webinar 10 minutes before the hour. Thank you all for your interest in RapidAuthor and this new release. And as mentioned multiple times, don't hesitate to contact us through support@cortona3d.com, the website, direct communication, if any further questions pop up or you want to see an example explaining the functionality we presented today in a bit more detail. We are very much looking forward to your feedback to this new version. This is what we build on in the next releases. So don't hesitate with sharing feedback. Thanks to all of you, and talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.